Greetings. This is Rayner Marx of Fire Adapted Big Sur, a program provided by the Community Association of Big Sur. This tutorial is an introduction to the Firewise USA application process. This information is current as of May 2023 and will not reflect subsequent updates to the application process. Firewise is a voluntary program developed by the National Fire Protection Association, also known as the NFPA, to help neighborhoods become more wildfire resistant. In California, this program is administered by CAL FIRE. The application process may differ in other states. Firewise communities tend to be more fire resilient and therefore safer and more defensible. Surrounding communities tend to be safer as wildfire may be less likely to spread across a Firewise community and into surrounding communities. Some insurance providers provide discounts to residents located in Firewise communities. Finally, the experience and discipline of navigating the Firewise application process can be applied to other fire resiliency activities for the community. To begin the Firewise application process, form a committee and define your community. An eligible community is anywhere from 8 to 2,500 residential dwellings. Next, assess the fire resiliency of your residential dwellings. The assessment includes the residential structure and the surrounding 100 feet of landscape. Then, based on your assessment, create a 3-year action plan to become more fire resilient. Create an account on the NFP Firewise site to enter your Firewise application. We'll walk through this process now. When you log into your Firewise portal, you'll see a summary status panel. The panel that you see is the panel for Post Creek Firewise. Community roles define a resident leader. In California, the NFPA portal automatically assigns a regional coordinator. In this case, this is the CAL FIRE person. Basic information. For title, we chose Post Creek Firewise. Number of dwelling units, for us, 127. Dwelling units are defined as following. A single-family home is 1 dwelling unit. A duplex is 2 dwelling units. Triplex is 3 dwelling units. 2 single-family homes on a single parcel are 2 dwelling units. For us, number of residents was 241. Under risk assessment, this risk assessment is a document that you download from the NFPA site, and we'll step through that shortly. You'll want to form a board or committee and have at least 2 members of that board or committee. Action plan, this is also a document which you download from the NFPA site, and we will step through that shortly. There's a minimum of 1 educational outreach activity that you need to perform prior to submitting your Firewise application. These outreach activities are predefined, and there are pull-down items in the NFPA portal. The timeline to conduct these activities, and actually all activities in this application, starts from the beginning of the calendar year all the way up to the date that you submit this application. In our case, we had 3 educational outreach activities. Vegetation removal activity to date. Examples of vegetation removal would be doing clearance work around your home and then chipping and removing that slash, or an alternative would be to take that slash, create burn piles, and then burn the piles. CAL FIRE provides guidance on how to calculate cubic yards. The minimum risk reduction investment for this application is $29.95 per dwelling unit. For Post Creek Firewise, we had 127 dwelling units. 127 times $29.95 means the minimum risk reduction investment for Post Creek Firewise was $3,803.65. That risk reduction investment is the combination of money spent and hours worked. Examples of money spent would be hiring a contractor to do clearance work. Example of hours worked would be a resident investing 1 hour to remove conifer litter from a gutter. And so that 1 hour is valued at $29.95. This is the assessment document that you download from the NFPA site. assessment participants, all the people that participated in actually conducting the assessments. In our case, we listed the board members, or the committee members listed. General site description, we chose the name Post Creek Firewise. There's a boundary description, and you also define the number of acres. Number of dwelling units, residents. In our case, we had a combination of single-family, apartment, and duplex structures. All of the ownership was private, and all of our lot sizes were a half acre or larger. Other site information, we mentioned narrow paved roads. Most parcels have a single route of ingress, egress. Yours may be different if you decide to fill that in. Description of local wildland fire characteristics, lists the common vegetation types, also the topography. Observations. So these are the home ignition zones here. There are actually 4. There's the home itself, and then there are 3 other home ignition zones which make up the 100 feet that surround the home. For the home, the first question is, what percentage of homes have metal, tile, or Class A asphalt and fiberglass shingles? And where we come up with that percentage is that we conduct individual assessments of each residential structure and then sum those to come up with the percentages. Next question, what percentage of homes have non-combustible soffit vents with mesh or screening? What percentage of homes have non-combustible siding? What percentage of homes have skirting underneath raised floors and decks? What percentage of homes have no wooden attachments? Wooden attachments here would include wooden decks, wooden fences that are attached to the home, trellis that's attached to the home. What percentage of homes have multi-pane windows? What percentage of homes have cleaned and maintained their roof and gutters? And what percentage of homes have metal gutters? So that completes the assessment criteria for the structure itself. There are 3 remaining questions, and those questions have to do with the 3 zones that surround the home. The immediate zone of 0 to 5 feet, what percentage of homes have treated vegetation and created a combustible-free area? To determine if a home has treated vegetation and created a combustible-free area, we assess the 4 questions highlighted above for each individual structure. So, is there dead vegetation? Has hardscaping been used? Have wood mulch products been replaced? Are there tree shrubs next to the home? Based on the combination to the answers to that, we were then able to determine if a given structure had treated vegetation and created a combustible-free area. Similarly, for the intermediate zone, 5 to 30 feet, in order to answer whether a home had treated vegetation, we asked the 5 questions above. And then for the extended zone from 30 to 100 feet, we asked the 5 questions listed above in order to determine if that home had treated vegetation. Other questions, common areas or adjacent public lands. And then a summary. So a summary, this is going to depend on the assessments that you've conducted, and it's going to be unique for your community. A couple of things that we identified were, 1, that many homes store firewood adjacent to the structure or underneath attached wood decks. That is a fire risk. We also observed that tree canopies tend to be close in both the intermediate and the extended zones. Also, recommendations. This, like the summary, is a free-form area and is going to vary depending on the community. For us, we made a couple of recommendations in here, including that many homes have attached wood decks, encourage residents to replace flammable wood decks with flame-resistant alternatives. And also we observed that many homes have attached wooden fences, and we encourage residents to replace a 5-foot section of the fence that attached to the structure with a flame-resistant alternative, because attached wooden fences are one route of fire to reach the structure. Also, part of your assessment is to include a map which identifies your Firewise community. In this case, the red outline is an outline of the exterior parcels, which we we're able to identify from a county parcel map. Optionally, we overlaid that parcel into the state responsibility zone fire hazard severity zones, where you see pink. This is meaningful to CAL FIRE, these fire hazard severity zones. So while we thought that this was effective for this map, you're not required to use these fire hazard severity zones. Final document attached is the 3-year action plan. This document is one that you download from the NFPA site as well. For each of the 3 years, you define 4 action plan categories. First one is education and outreach goals. The second is home hardening goals. Third is fuel reduction goals. And then the fourth is evacuation planning and wildfire preparedness. And then you go through this same process for year 2 and for year 3. You may have CAL FIRE request changes to your application. After making changes, you simply resubmit the application. You'll be notified if your application requires further changes or that your application has been approved. Based on our experience in Monterey County, we've seen the entire WISE application process range from 3 to 12 months. To maintain your Firewise status, provide an annual report on the progress against your 3-year action plan. Every 3 years, you submit a new 3-year action plan, and every 5 years, you submit a new community assessment. This concludes the Firewise application tutorial, and thank you for your interest.